Hello, my friend. I'm Paul. Welcome to Night of Tales, a quiet refuge for imagination and dreams. Set aside your worries, as tonight we journey together through worlds of magic, mystery, and wonder. Lie back, relax, and let the tales carry you away. Long ago, in the mysterious days of ancient Ireland, before the coming of the faith and the ringing of the bells, the Tuatha De Danann, the people of the goddess Danu, walked the land. They were a golden race, masters of magic and music, tall and terrible in battle, yet lovers of beauty. But a time of change came upon them. The great war at Celtic had been fought, and the Tuatha De Danann decided that they must choose a single high king to rule over them all, to bind their scattered chiefs into one strength. They gathered in a great assembly. The lords and ladies, the druids and the warriors all came together. There were many who sought the crown, but the choice fell between two great lords, both Darrig, a man of wisdom and red fury in battle, and Lear, the lord of the White Hill, whose stronghold rose proud in the county of Armagh. Lear was a man of high pride and great possessions. He fully expected the sovereignty to be placed in his hands. But the council of the Tuatha De Danann spoke, and their voices went to both Darrig. He was proclaimed High King of Ireland. When Lear heard this, a black rage fell upon his heart. He did not kneel. He did not offer the pledge of fealty. He turned on his heel, his cloak swirling about him like a storm cloud, and marched from the assembly without a word of farewell. He summoned his chariots and his warriors and rode hard for the north, back to the hill of the White Field. This was a grave insult to the new High King, and the warriors of both Darrig grasped their sword hilts, demanding the right to ride after Lear and burn his hall. "Let him be," said both Darrig, raising a hand. "Lear is a powerful man, and his friendship is better than his enmity. If I make war on him now, the land will bleed. I will win him with kindness." Time passed, and the news came to both Darrig that Lear's wife had died after an illness of 3 days. The news told that Lear was broken with grief, for he had loved her well. "Now is the time," said both Darrig. He sent his swiftest messengers to the north with a word of peace. "Tell Lear," he commanded, "that I bear him no ill will. Tell him that to heal his sorrow and to bind our houses together, I will give him one of my 3 foster daughters to be his wife. They are the daughters of Ailill of Erin and the fairest women in Ireland." Lear received the message, and his loneliness was great. He saw the wisdom in the offer. He ordered his horses to be yoked, and with a retinue of 50 chariots, he rode south to the palace of both Darrig at Loch Derg. There was a great welcome for him. The meat was roasted, the vats of ale were opened, and the harpers played the songs of reconciliation. The 3 maidens were brought before Lear. The eldest was named Eve. The second was Aoife. The youngest was Albia. Lear looked upon them, and he saw the gentle spirit in the eyes of the eldest. "She is the choice of my heart," said Lear. "Eve shall be my wife." So they were wedded, and they returned to the hill of the white field. For a time, the sun shone brightly on the house of Lear. Eve bore him 2 children at birth, a daughter named Finola and a son named Hugh. A year passed, and she gave birth again to 2 sons, Fiacre and Con. But in the bringing of these 2 lives into the world, the life of Eve flickered and went out. Lear was plunged into a grief deeper than the first. He would have withered away were it not for the love he bore his 4 children. Both Darrig, hearing of the tragedy, sorrowed for his foster daughter. He sent word again to Lear, "We must not let the bond break. My second foster daughter, Aoife, is yet here. Take her and let her be a mother to your children." And so it was done. Aoife, the sister of the dead Eve, went north to marry Lear. At first, Aoife seemed content. The children were beautiful, Finola with her golden hair and wisdom beyond her years, Hugh with his brightness, and the twins Fiacre and Con, who were the joy of the household. Lear loved them with a fierce, consuming love. He would sleep in the same room with them. He would have them by his side at the feast. At dawn, he would rise only to see their faces. But Aoife was barren. She had no children of her own body. As she watched the king's devotion to the children of her dead sister, a cold worm of jealousy began to turn in her heart. She saw the eyes of the people light up when Finola passed. She saw the king's face soften when he spoke. And she saw that she was but a shadow in the hall, the second wife, the replacement. The jealousy grew until it became a madness. For a year, she feigned a sickness. She lay in her bed, brooding, the poison spreading through her veins. She hatched a dark plot, a plot so foul that the sun itself might hide its face. One morning, she rose from her bed. She ordered her chariot to be made ready, saying she would take the 4 children to the palace of Darrig to see their foster grandfather. Lear, unsuspecting, was glad. "It will do them good," he said, and he kissed them farewell. Finola, who had a touch of the second sight, felt a dread coldness in her heart. She saw the glint of malice in her stepmother's eyes, but she could not disobey. She gathered her brothers Hugh, Fiacre, and little Con, and they climbed into the chariot. They rode out from the white field, Aoife and the children, with a small guard of servants. When they reached a dark and lonely glen, far from the sight of any house, Aoife called the chariot to a halt. She turned to the servants. "I have a great wealth in store for you," she whispered, her voice trembling with hate. "These children are the blight of my life. They stole the king's love from me. Kill them now. Cut their throats, and I will give you more gold than you can carry." The servants stared at her in horror. "We will not do this thing," said the captain of the guard. "It is an evil deed you ask. We will have no part in the blood of the king's children." And they turned away from her, fearful of the demon that looked out from her eyes. Aoife, consumed by her madness, snatched a sword from the scabbard of a warrior. She raised it to strike. But when she looked at the children, at the white neck of Finola and the innocent eyes of Khan, her woman's nature fought with her jealousy. Her hand lost its strength. She could not bring the steel down. She threw the sword upon the grass and wept with rage. "If I cannot kill you with the sword," she hissed, "I will put you where the king's love cannot reach you." She ordered the trembling servants to drive on. They came to the shores of Lake Deravarig in the county of Westmouth. The water was calm and silvery under the sky. "Go down," she commanded the children. "Go down to the water and bathe, for the dust of the road is upon you." The children, frightened but obedient, went down to the water's edge. Finola stripped off her cloak, and her brothers did likewise. They waded into the lake, the cool water lapping at their waists. Aoife stood on the shore. She drew from the folds of her dress a druid's wand, a dark stick of yew carved with Occam spells. She raised it high and struck the air, and a sudden wind moaned over the lake. She chanted a spell of binding, a terrible song of shaping. "Away from me, ye children of Lear, no more the home, no more the cheer. Your shapes I change, your forms I take, to wander the ways of the lonely lake. White birds ye be, in wind and rain, until the earth is changed again." As the words left her lips, a mist swirled around the children. They cried out, but their cries turned to the high, mournful calling of birds. Their arms became great white wings, their skin became feathers of snow, their feet became webbed and black. Where the 4 children had stood, there now floated 4 beautiful swans. Finola, now a swan, swam close to the shore. She looked at Aoife with eyes that were still human and filled with sorrow. "Oh, Aoife," she said, and her voice was the voice of Finola, clear and sad. "You have done a wicked thing. We never harmed you. You have ruined us, but you have ruined yourself more. Tell us now, for we know the power of the druid binds you to the truth. When will this spell end? When shall we be free?" Aoife laughed, a sound like cracking ice. "It is better that you had not asked, but I will tell you. You shall be 300 years upon this lake, Lake Deravarig. Then you shall fly north to the Straits of Moyle, the cold sea between Erin and Alba, and there you shall suffer for 300 years. And for the last 300 years you shall be on the western sea, at Erisdomnan and the Isle of Glory. 900 years in all." She paused, and a strange light came into her eyes as she spoke the prophecy that sealed their fate. "And you shall not return to your human shapes until the woman from the south is mated with the man from the north. Until Lergrin, the son of Coleman, king of Connacht, is wed to Dioc, the daughter of the king of Munster. And until you hear the sound of the bell of the new god ringing in the land." Then a sudden wave of regret struck Aoife. She looked at the 4 white birds, and the horror of her deed fell upon her. "I cannot undo what is done," she wept. "But this gift I grant you, you shall keep your human speech. And you shall sing such music as the world has never heard, music that will put all sorrow to sleep. And your minds will not be the minds of birds, but the minds of the children of Lear. She turned and fled from the shore, leaving them drifting on the water. When Aoife arrived at the palace of Bov-Darrig, the High King asked, "Where are the children?" Lear would not let them come, she lied. But Bov-Darrig suspected treachery. He sent messengers to the White Field. When Lear heard the children were not with Aoife, he knew a great evil had befallen them. He rode south with the speed of a storm. When he came to Lake Deravarig, he heard the singing. It was not the song of a thrush or a lark, but a slow, sweet melody sung by human voices. He went to the reeds and saw the 4 swans. "Is it you, my children?" he cried. "It is, Father," replied Finola. "We are destroyed by the jealousy of Aoife." Lear fell to the earth, tearing his clothes and weeping. The swans swam to him, and he touched their feathers, but he could not hold them. They told him their tale and the doom of 900 years. Lear rode unto the house of Bov-Darrig. "Where is Aoife?" he demanded. Bov-Darrig saw the face of Lear and knew the truth. He called Aoife before him. "You have done a deed that makes the stones weep," said the High King. "You thought to hurt Lear, but you have hurt yourself more. Their suffering will end in glory, but yours will be eternal." He raised his druid's wand. "What shape do you fear most?" he asked her. "I fear the demon of the air," she whispered. "Then be that thing," both thundered. He struck her with the wand. She shrieked, her body twisting and darkening. She became a witch of the air, a screaming demon vulture. She flew out the window and into the dark sky, and the legends say she wanders the wind still, hated by all until the end of time. But vengeance does not heal a broken heart. Lear returned to Lake Deravarig, and he was not alone. The men of the Tuatha De Danann and the Milesians who were beginning to walk the land came to the shores. They made a great encampment there. For 300 years, the swans remained on the lake. It was a time of strange peace. By day, they would converse with their father and the people. By night, they would sing. Their music was so sweet, so full of the sorrow and the beauty of the world, that it calmed the angry and comforted the sick. No one who heard the music of the swans could feel pain or hunger. Lear grew old, his hair white as the winter frost, but he stayed by the water until the wheel of the centuries turned. Then came the morning of the parting. "The time has come," said Finola. "We must leave this lake in the faces of our friends. The cold sea of Moyle awaits us." Great was the weeping on the shore. Lear stood at the edge, his heart breaking. "Go," he whispered. "Go, and may the gods of the wind be kind to you." The 4 swans rose into the air. They circled the camp 3 times, singing a lay of farewell that made the strong warriors cover their faces. Then they turned their beaks to the north and vanished into the gray distance. They came to the Straits of Moyle, the dark, churning waters between Ireland and Scotland. Here, there was no shelter. The cliffs were black and steep, and the currents were treacherous. The suffering began. A great storm arose one night, blacker than a wolf's throat. The wind screamed, and the waves rose like mountains. "We will be scattered," cried Fikra. "If we are parted," Finola called out against the wind, "let us meet at the Rock of the Seals." The storm struck. They were tossed like leaves in a gale. Finola was alone in the darkness, battered by hail, her feathers soaked and heavy. When the morning came, pale and cold, she swam to the Rock of the Seals. She was alone. She sang a lament, fearing her brothers were lost forever. But then she saw a wet shape struggling in the waves. It was Khan. She warmed him under her wing. Then came Fikra, so cold he could not speak. She placed him under her other wing. "Where is Hugh?" she wept. At last, Hugh appeared, his head low, his strength gone. She tucked him against her breast, covering him with the feathers of her neck. And so they huddled, the four of them, while the sleet lashed them and the sea froze around the rock. The winters on the Moyle were terrible. There was a night when the frost was so hard that the sea became a floor of ice. Their feet froze to the rock. When they tried to move, the skin was torn from their feet and the feathers from their breasts. They left their blood on the stone. "Oh, brothers," Finola sang, "evil is our stepmother, and heavy is our doom." But they endured. They sang to the cold stars and the roaring ocean, and the sailors crossing the strait would hear them and cross themselves, knowing it was the children of Lear. 300 years passed in that cold hell. Then, the command of the curse drove them west. They flew to Erisdomnan on the wild Atlantic coast of Mayo. They made their home on the small, lonely island of Inishglora. The weather here was no better, but they had grown strong in spirit. They learned the ways of the ocean birds and the secrets of the tides. One day, seeking news of their home, they flew back to the hill of the White Field. They expected to see the banners of Lear and the smoke of the feasting hall. But when they arrived, they found only a mound of grass-covered earth. The moat was dry. The walls were crumbled. Nettle and briar grew where the high sea had been. Lear was dead. The Tuatha De Danann had faded into the hollow hills to become the city. The world belonged to men now. Finola wept. Nothing remains. We are strangers in our own land. They returned to Inishglora, and there they waited out the final centuries of their doom. And then it happened. 900 years had passed. One morning, a sound drifted across the water. It was not the wind, nor the gull, nor the seal. It was a thin, metallic sound. Clang, clang. The brothers shook with fear. "What is that terrible voice?" asked Khan. Finola listened, and a great peace settled over her face. "It is the voice of the new god. It is the bell. Our freedom is near." They swam toward the sound. On the shore of the island, they saw a small stone chapel and a man in a rough brown robe. It was the holy man, Mokmok. He saw the 4 white swans swimming toward him, and he heard them speaking in the tongue of men. "Are you the children of Lear?" asked Mokmog. "We are," said Finola. "Welcome," said the saint. "I have come to this island for your sake. Come to land." They came ashore, and Mokmog took them into his care. He ordered a silversmith to make 2 chains of bright silver. He linked Finola to Hugh and Fikra to Khan. They lived with the holy man, listening to his prayers and learning of the new faith. They sang the Mass with him, and their voices were the wonder of the West. They were at peace, waiting for their end. But the prophecy of Aoife had to be fulfilled. In the south, in the province of Munster, there was a princess named Diach. She was betrothed to Lergren, the king of Connacht, the man from the north. Their marriage was the union that Aoife had foretold. Diach heard the tales of the wondrous talking swans of Inishglora. A great vanity and desire took hold of her. She sent word to Lergren, "I will not marry you unless you bring me those 4 swans to be my wedding gift." Lergren was a man of violence. To please his bride, he gathered a troop of soldiers and rode to Inishglora. He marched up to the chapel of Mokmog. "Give me the birds," Lergren commanded. "I will not," said Mokmog. "They are under the protection of God." Lergren laughed. He pushed the saint aside and strode to the altar where the swans were resting. He grabbed the silver chains. With a rough hand, he dragged the birds from the holy place, intending to carry them to the court of Connacht. But the moment his hands of violence touched them, and the moment they were forced from the sanctuary, the 900 years of magic unraveled. The white feathers fell away like snow in the rain. The wings shriveled. The bird shapes vanished. Lergren and his men gasped in horror and backed away. There were no swans. On the floor of the chapel lay 4 ancient, incredibly ancient, human beings. They were withered and bent, their skin like dry parchment, their hair thin and white as bone. The weight of 9 centuries pressed down upon them. They were frail as dried leaves in winter. Lergren fled the chapel in terror, the curse of the saint ringing in his ears. Finola, unable to rise, looked up at Mokmog. Her voice was a dry whisper, like wind in dead grass. "Father, baptize us. The end is here. We are going to the light." Mokmog, weeping tears of sorrow, took the holy water. He baptized Finola, Hugh, Fikra, and Khan. As the water touched their foreheads, a light of peace came into their eyes. "Lay us in the grave," Finola whispered, "as we used to sleep on the Rock of the Seals. Place Khan at my right side and Fikra at my left, and place you before my face." For so we sheltered each other in the storm. And with those words, the children of Lear closed their eyes and died. Mokmog did as she asked. He dug a grave in the soft earth of the island. He laid them down, standing the stone of their names above them in Ogham script. And he sang a lament for them that was heard by the angels. So ended the fate of the children of Lear. The swans are gone, and the kings are dust. But when the winter wind cries over the dark waters of Moyle, or whispers through the reeds of Deriveric, the people say it is the echo of their song, a song of sorrow, of endurance, and of a love that time could not kill.